Who is the strongest person you know? Who wins every fight? The one who speaks the loudest, or the one who never allows anger to control them? Most people believe strength is measured by power. The Stoics believed something entirely different. They believed the greatest warrior is the one who conquers himself before trying to conquer anyone else. Today's story is about a fearless warrior who had defeated hundreds of opponents. His name was spoken with respect across kingdoms. Enemies feared him. Kings rewarded him. Children dreamed of becoming like him. Yet the greatest battle of his life would be fought without drawing a single sword, and the outcome would redefine what it truly means to be strong. The invincible warrior. In the kingdom of Valinor lived a warrior named Cassian. His armor bore the marks of countless battles. His sword had defended villages from invaders. No challenger had ever defeated him. People believed Cassian feared nothing, but beneath the admiration lay a hidden weakness: his temper. One insult could ignite his anger. One challenge could consume his thoughts. One act of disrespect was enough to make him forget his wisdom. His enemies understood this better than anyone. They no longer tried to overpower him with weapons. Instead, they provoked him. They spread rumors. They questioned his honor. They insulted his family. Again and again, Cassian reacted exactly as they expected. Although he won many battles, each victory left him more exhausted than before. One evening, after returning from another unnecessary duel, Cassian encountered an elderly monk sitting quietly beside a mountain path. The monk looked at the warrior's damaged armor and asked, "Who defeated you today?" Cassian frowned. "I defeated my opponent." The monk shook his head gently. "If that were true, why do you still carry his words in your mind?" Cassian remained silent. The monk continued, "A man who can control your emotions can control your life." Those words struck deeper than any sword ever had. For the first time, Cassian realized something terrifying. He had spent years believing he was free. Yet every insult had been controlling his actions. Every provocation had been deciding his next move. He had conquered battlefields, but he had never conquered himself. That realization became the beginning of his greatest transformation. The monk invited Cassian to remain in the mountains for several days. No battles, no weapons, only silence. Each morning they sat overlooking the valley as the sun rose. For hours, neither of them spoke. At first, Cassian found the silence unbearable. His mind raced with old arguments, past insults, future battles. His thoughts were louder than any battlefield. Finally, he asked, "Why do we sit here doing nothing?" The monk smiled. "We are not doing nothing. We are watching your mind. The strongest prison is not built with stone. It is built with uncontrolled thoughts." Cassian slowly began to understand. The real enemy had never been outside him. It had been the anger he carried within. And soon, life would give him the perfect opportunity to prove whether he had truly learned the lesson. After several weeks in the mountains, Cassian returned to the kingdom. The people welcomed him home. But they immediately noticed something different. The warrior, who once reacted to every insult, now carried himself with an unusual calm. His eyes were steady. His voice was gentle. His movements were deliberate. Many admired the change. Others believed he had become weak. Word of Cassian's transformation spread across neighboring kingdoms until it reached a ruthless fighter named Darius. Unlike Cassian, Darius believed fear was the quickest path to respect. He challenged anyone who stood in his way. He defeated opponents not only with his sword, but with humiliation. When he heard that the legendary warrior had become peaceful, he laughed. "I'll expose him in front of the entire kingdom." A public challenge was announced. The town square filled with thousands of spectators. Merchants abandoned their stalls. Children climbed rooftops for a better view. Everyone expected another unforgettable battle. Darius stepped into the arena wearing shining armor. He smiled confidently. "So, the great Cassian finally became afraid." The crowd gasped. Months earlier, those words would have been enough to ignite Cassian's rage. But this time, he simply looked at Darius, then smiled. Nothing more. Darius frowned. He tried again. "I've met shepherds braver than you." Still, no reaction. The crowd became restless. Why wasn't Cassian defending his honor? Darius walked closer. "If you refuse to fight, I'll tell the world you're a coward." For a brief moment, old emotions stirred inside Cassian. His heart beat faster. His hands tightened. The familiar fire of anger knocked at the door of his mind. Then he remembered the monk's words. "A man who controls your emotions controls your life." Cassian took one slow breath, then another. Instead of reacting, he observed. He watched his anger rise. and slowly disappear. Without realizing it, he had practiced one of the most powerful psychological techniques known today: emotional distancing. Rather than becoming his emotions, he became the observer of them. The feeling no longer controlled him. It simply passed through him. Darius grew impatient. He shouted louder. He insulted Cassian's family. He mocked his victories. He even threw dust at his feet. Still, Cassian remained calm. The crowd could hardly believe what they were witnessing. Finally, Cassian spoke. His voice was quiet, yet every person in the square heard him. "You came here to fight. I came here to protect my peace. If I surrender my calm because of your words, then you have already defeated me." Silence swept across the arena. Darius had prepared for swords. He had prepared for violence. He had prepared for anger. He had not prepared for wisdom. Unable to provoke the reaction he wanted, his confidence began to crumble. His insults became desperate. His movements became reckless. For the first time in years, the feared warrior looked uncertain. Cassian realized something profound. People who constantly seek conflict often depend on your emotional reaction. Take away that reaction, and you take away much of their power. This is why the Stoics taught that your peace is one of your greatest possessions. Never hand it to someone who has not earned it. A new definition of victory. The king watched from his throne, overlooking the arena. He finally stood. There will be no battle today. The contest is already over. The crowd looked confused. The king continued. Darius came to conquer man. Cassian conquered himself. And that is the greater victory. For the first time, the crowd applauded not because someone had won a fight, but because someone had refused one. Darius quietly lowered his head. Without another word, he left the arena. Cassian had won without drawing his sword. But an even greater lesson still awaited him, one that would prove whether true strength can survive life's most personal challenges. Cassian's victory spread far beyond the kingdom. People no longer spoke only of his skill with a sword. They spoke of his calm. Young warriors traveled from distant lands, hoping to learn the secret of his strength. Many expected him to teach combat. Instead, he taught patience. He showed them how to breathe before reacting, how to listen before speaking, how to pause before making decisions driven by anger. Some understood. Others left disappointed. How can silence defeat an enemy? They asked. Cassian simply smiled, because the greatest enemy is often the one within. One evening, a messenger arrived with terrible news. A group of bandits had attacked a nearby village. Several homes had been destroyed. Among the victims was an old friend Cassian had grown up with. For a brief moment, the old fire returned. His heart raced. His fists clenched. The desire for revenge surged through him. He wanted to hunt the bandits down immediately. But then he remembered the monk's lesson. Never make your biggest decisions while your strongest emotions are in control. So, instead of rushing into battle, Cassian waited until sunrise. He gathered trusted companions. They carefully studied the bandits' movements. They protected the villagers. When the confrontation finally came, it lasted only a few moments. Because Cassian acted with wisdom instead of rage, many innocent lives were saved. As the captured leader stood before him, the man spat at Cassian's feet. "Go on," he sneered. "Kill me. That's what warriors do." Cassian looked him in the eyes. "No, that's what angry men do." The bandit lowered his head. For the first time in years, he felt something stronger than fear. He felt shame, the Stoic truth. Years later, people asked Cassian what made him the greatest warrior of his generation. He never mentioned the battles he had won. He never spoke about his victories or the enemies he defeated. Instead, he would say, "The day I mastered my anger was the day I became truly strong." The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the best revenge is not to become like your enemy. Cassian lived by those words. He understood that anger promises strength, but often steals wisdom. Patience may look slow. Calmness may look weak, but they are often the foundations of the strongest decisions. The psychology behind self-control. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics practiced centuries ago. When we react in anger, the emotional centers of the brain can overpower the parts responsible for careful judgment and long-term thinking. That's why people often say things they regret during moments of intense emotion. A simple pause, a deep breath, a few seconds of reflection, or walking away briefly gives the mind time to regain clarity. That small pause can prevent broken relationships, poor decisions, and unnecessary conflict. True self-control isn't about pretending emotions don't exist. It's about refusing to let emotions become your master. The moral: anyone can win an argument. Anyone can shout louder. Anyone can strike back. But not everyone can remain calm when they are insulted. Not everyone can choose wisdom over pride. Real strength is revealed when you have every reason to react and choose peace instead. People may mistake your calmness for weakness. Let them. Time has a way of revealing who was truly strong. Protect your peace, guard your character, and remember, no victory over another person will ever compare to the victory of mastering yourself. Closing message. The next time someone insults you, the next time anger begins to rise, ask yourself one question. Am I about to control this moment, or let this moment control me? That single question has the power to change your relationships, your decisions, and your future. If this story inspired you, write this in the comments. My greatest victory is over myself. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more original Stoic stories, psychological insights, and timeless life lessons. In the next episode, you'll discover the old farmer's secret, a story that will challenge the way you judge good and bad fortune, and reveal why today's setback may become tomorrow's greatest blessing. Until then, stay calm, stay wise, and remember, the strongest warrior is the one who first conquers the battlefield within. Like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs this message.